Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Thick No More. This is the podcast where we challenge labels, we celebrate different ways of thinking, and we share stories of people who, for me, systematically refuse to let others define their potential. I'm always excited about everybody that comes on this podcast, but I met this lady on LinkedIn. I don't know, she's got a better memory than me, so she'll tell you. A while ago on LinkedIn, and we've been talking and sharing stuff, and yeah, we just kind of really hit it off. And she's got some things going on in her life. She's got some testing times at the moment, and she's also doing something really exciting, which I really want to share with you all. But for me, I think the most important thing not only is Kate a head teacher, an educational leader, massive send advocate, which I love. The most important thing, she's a mum. And that's what touches me the most. She's going through first-hand experiences, the challenges of raising a child with dyslexia and additional needs in what I guess is a system that doesn't work for every learner. Kate Manning, welcome to Thick No More. I am over the moon to have you on, and I can't wait for everyone to hear your story.
Thank you.
Now, listen, I've got the tissues ready, okay, because I think this is going to be an emotional one today. So I'm going to put an emotional warning on straight away, but it's amazing to have you on, Kate. So, okay, I always ask everybody this question. Just for today, I'm a magic man, okay, and I'm going to wave my little wand. From now on, and actually, someone told me the other week that every time they open the door, they're trying to visualize this moment. So don't let this affect you. But every time you open the door from now on, a theme tune is going to play. What's your tune and why?
I think it would probably be a song that's title really personifies everything that I believe in and what I do. One is a mum, and two is an educator, and three is a leader. And that's probably Dreams by Gabrielle, because I really want to instill in Annie, my daughter, that dreams do come true. It doesn't matter if you've got barriers to anything in life. You can absolutely achieve those dreams. I think as an educator, I think it's one of the songs that I teach the children and previously have taught children in assembly, because I think the words is really powerful in teaching that anything is possible. I think it was like an Olympic theme tune as well, or the Commonwealth theme tune as well. Yeah, so they could relate to it a little bit in that sense. But I think as a SEND advocate and educator as well, I think it's really important as we go through quite a turbulent time in education and SEND to still have that belief, and that if we have our dreams, that we can change it, and that we're not just going to sit back and say and accept what is happening in the current situation, the current climate in education and SEND. Yeah. We do need that belief, and we do need that end goal of the dream is to change it and make it an absolutely purposeful education system, environment where everybody thrives and can achieve their possible endless dreams as well.
Wow.
So
I mean, we can
probably be
literally
that.
end the podcast there with that statement, quite frankly. Great song. I love Gabrielle. One of my favorite Gabrielle. One of the, so I have a few. Okay, I'm not going to use that word, but I have a few things which I think I am particularly excel at. One is my visual memory. So I can remember a little old lady crossing the road because there was I don't know, it was a flag up at the time, and she'd got a yellow walking stick. And I'll tell you the name of the town, the year, the date that I was there and everything, right? That's one of the things. The other thing I'm really, really good at is remembering songs, the names of songs, the artist, and there's another really, really good song by Gabrielle called Rise. So that's your challenge tonight. Go away and listen to that as well, because that's another one where she talks about getting up from being on the ground when you're down and things are testing you. And yeah, and it's I'm gonna rise again. It's brilliant, really, really good songs. Have a listen to that one as well. But yeah, great choice, great choice. Okay, so we can see the sign behind you. I know what you do for a living, but I want you to tell me Forget about the job for a moment. Tell me who Kate is away from the job title.
So I'm a mem. It's probably my proudest achievement in life, being a mem. And I actually am not scared to say at all that I became a better educator when I was a mem. I became more relatable and approachable. I'm one of these educators that believe that you can absolutely learn and research everything, which I really believe is powerful and important in education. However,
Yeah.
being a mum, I really feel has given me that next level of empathy, parental partnership, and relatability as well.
Yeah.
At the moment, I've got one daughter, Annie. She's 9, going to be 10 in 2 weeks. She has some difficulties. So I'm a mum, but I'm a mum with barriers myself as a SEND parent to be a passionate
Yeah.
educator and worker, which I'll touch on a little bit more because I think that is something that is not spoken about in SEND.
Yeah.
One, the equality of parents as SEND parents to access, and it's not like in everything in the world, it's not necessarily what you know is who you know, but putting the both together helps. And
Yeah.
if you don't know SEND or you don't know anybody, you're lost in the system.
Correct. Yeah.
But I think as well, I'm a real passionate educator and I'm brave. I'm not scared to put my hand up in a conference and challenge the norm. I'm touch on this a bit later as well, but I'm doing that in education at the moment and maybe on a smaller scale, but I'm hoping it's going to be bigger. I'm trying to challenge the norm of it's not a competition of places. It's about providing the right opportunities for all children. That's what education is for me. Although I do think it's become very competitive, a competitive industry in the sense because of financial and budget restraints.
Yeah.
But I'm also passionate. It's quite funny. So my daughter races, she ski races. So I'm
Wow.
passionate in that sense. And actually, I was quite taken back because we go on family holidays as skiers as well. But it's a sense of freedom. There are many neurodiverse children in the ski racing circuit. And to see those moments of celebration and growth when somebody goes from a really quiet ski racer to that freedom of going down the slope and them remembering the visual of what course they've got to do, it really instills them and gives them that opportunity to achieve. So I'm part of the ski community. Yeah, but I'm also a voice, I think, as well.
Yeah. You are.
So I really, I would say that's my other role. I never go into a room as an educator or as a mum and apologise for being here. I start with, I am Annie's voice, or I am the voice of children with unique needs or barriers to learning. I don't sort of say SEND because I'm very much against having a label.
Yeah. Stays with you for a long time, unfortunately, as you well know. I've told you, and what you're saying there is brilliant, and good on you, absolutely good on you.
I think at the moment is probably as a mum, there's two biggest barriers to being a parent with SEND. So Annie isn't officially diagnosed.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, when she was 7, I knew that she couldn't get a dyslexic assessment till she was 7.
Yeah.
That's what I was told. So being that mum, first time mum, and wanting the best for my daughter, I panicked. I paid something close to £1,000 for a private assessor. She came to the house, sat with Annie, who was 7 in 2 weeks. I remember like it was yesterday, for 3 hours, giving her an American test. And
Honestly.
gave us a 6-page report at the end, which no professional or medically trained professional will even accept. It was
Wow.
heartbreaking because now we're just starting again.
To interrupt you, I wonder how many other parents have done that.
Mm.
Exactly the same. Because I'm telling you now, you're not on your own. Anyone that's listening, we get loads of parents listening. If you've been through this, us, because this is something else I really want to make aware that there are a lot, listen, there are some really good, reputable companies out there that will do a proper assessment, that it's done correct and above board and great. But there are also some people that advertise things. I've fallen trap to it myself with my eldest son
Mm.
for an ADHD assessment. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's
And
right.
I think it's really sad, and it's one of the things that I was really shocked, probably being a bit of a naive person and a mum at the time, is that if you think, and I think this is where schools can really change that. I've got a meeting this afternoon with this. I am excited about the white paper report and reform of my interpretation of that, though, and what that means. And I'm
Okay.
very much aware of that's probably not everybody's interpretation of it.
No.
So the idea of specialists talking and connecting really excites me. And that bank of specialist support. One, as a parent, because if I know that I've got quality assured specialists there at hand that parents or daughters and my daughter can access, and I know that's right, you won't fall down this trap. I think the education system, I think the NHS need to be aware more of these people out there that are just preying on send parents as well.
Yeah.
And because
Yeah.
you're in a state of panic, grief
Hmm.
comes with it as well. I was in a conference last week and we spent a whole hour talking about parent partnerships and dealing with confrontational parents. And this is where I say I was probably became a better person when I became a mum, and because it's a grief process.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody wants and thinks they're having this perfect child. One of the biggest barriers for me is my family. They didn't understand. They were like, "Kate, you're a head teacher. How? What do you mean your daughter's struggling with phonics? What do you mean Annie's struggling to read? Um, what do you mean she can't spell?" And
How
it
did how
was.
did you how did you feel, Kate, when when like, there's a couple of things you just said there, and I've put them up here because I really need to
Mm,
come back to them because it's really important. But as a mum, not as an educator, how did you feel when you realised she was struggling? And what was the moment when you thought, well, that's not right. What's something's not quite right there? Was there a moment that you remember, or do you remember your emotions during that time?
Yeah, I was gutted selfishly, if I'm honest.
Mm,
I'm a real passionate head teacher. I love
yeah,
my job and it's demanding. Time restraints on that. And it's a real juggling act between being a parent and not. So that produced me barriers because I couldn't give Annie everything that she needed because of the
mm,
restraints of my job, that basically the pressures of that. So it was, I suppose, guilt. And I felt, what did I do wrong? Because
yeah,
I am somebody that gives absolutely everything. And I think that's where we need a mindset change with this. And it
yeah,
probably wasn't until about six, probably a year ago, actually, where I really changed my mindset. And bear in mind, Annie's 10, so it's taken us a good couple of years. And I'm in the profession as well, that it's
yeah,
not about fixing Annie. She can read. She just wasn't going to read at the time in which the education system in England wanted her to read. She can read. Um, the it was more for me then, and I've changed my mindset of, okay, what can she do? Let's celebrate that. And in order
hmm,
for her to achieve her dreams, going back to that first question, or final end destination of whatever she wants to achieve, what
yeah,
supportive tools and skills can we give her that will help that? And that doesn't
okay,
mean giving her a label. It doesn't
no,
mean to me her having 10 minutes extra time in a test. It doesn't mean to me her being, and I'll touch on these a little bit more and dig deeper into these, an advocate for accessibility in a school. She just wants to be a normal child, whatever that is, and be celebrated for her uniqueness.
Absolutely.
And why not?
No, totally. A question I have for you then. This is one of my concerns, right? And I'm going to, this is a two-pronged question. So first of all, I worry that all of these parents that are in this situation which you're in, we take away the fact that you're ahead as well. But I worry that they've stopped becoming parents on this journey that they're on. You mentioned it's taken years. The amount of parents that say to me, we've stopped becoming mum and dad. We're a reader, we're a scriber, we're a writer when, you know, Jay comes home. We have to help him. So that's my first question. How was the balance between work and home? That's the first question. The second question you mentioned about providing her any tools, accessible things to make her life, which is brilliant. Another worry I have. What I see a lot is we give a tool. So a tool for me to help me with my dyslexia. And I think, and I can't go back in time, but I think if I could go back in time and someone gave me something to do it, to make my life level, I'm not saying easier or cheap, I'm saying level, a level playing field with everybody else. Would I have used that equipment? I don't think I would have, because you know why? I'd already been told that I can't do it, that I'm not good enough. I think that someone giving me something to make my life level, I'd have stopped using it because nobody else is using it. It would have also made me look different even more than I already felt I was.
Yeah.
So how has she adapted to being given these tools? So question one, what was the difference between parenting? Did you find it altered you? And secondly, how has she adapted to using these tools she's given? Is she embracing it, or is there some reluctance?
So the first question, I think for me, is everybody said, including my husband, my family, were like, you don't read enough with her at home. You don't, because I'm a head teacher, I might not come home till 6, 7 o'clock. That's not I know from research, that's not the ideal time. Annie uses the excuse herself. She'll tell people, oh, I haven't done my homework because I've done too much skiing. She uses that herself. And I think I took away the pressure. So I took that pressure on. And no,
Yeah.
I never signed a reading diary. No, I didn't make her read at home. If she didn't want to do her spellings, I didn't make her do it. So,
No.
because
Good.
what was the point? She's in
No,
that fight mode at that point, and it'd end up in an argument.
no, totally.
I am at most her mum, and when I closed, and I suppose maybe it was easier for me because I could finish school and I never wanted to be Annie's teacher. It sort of bridges the second question as well. We've even looked at, so at the moment, she's struggling in school. She's got SATs next year. Whether we're going to do those SATs or whether we're not, I don't know. We've got a bit of a sort of bouncing back and forth with Annie because she wants to be the same as her friends and enjoy the free breakfast and have all those SATs treats. Will she be able to do that if she doesn't do a SATs? But she knows that, yeah, what SATs are. Park that for a minute.
Yeah, well, that's my next question. So yeah,
Yeah.
we'll get to that one. Don't worry.
However, so we were looking for tutors for her, particularly around spelling, punctuation, and comprehension. Then I've sort of was like, Kate, you tell everybody about skills and providing children with skills that are actually prepare them for life. What does Annie need? She needs self-belief. Ultimately, she needs self-belief. Anxiety is huge for her. If she thinks she's done 100% in a SATs reading test, then I am winning at life. She's winning at life. It's all about how she feels rather than that entertainment. So we changed it. We've actually got a tutor for her, but it's a drama teacher. She's going to have a half an hour session with this drama teacher. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I understand that her reading will improve, her presentation skills will improve, her understanding and comprehension of influence of what that actor wants to feel. But Annie doesn't feel like she's in that box of that environment where she's got to do more work, where she's got to mask more, where she's got to work double the amount of everybody else because she's trying to do maths or English or whatever it is that she finds so hard. So I suppose we've taken a different outlook of it. We're going to trial it. I'm not saying it's going to work, but we've approached a drama school and just said, can we have half an hour before? Annie doesn't go to drama because she loves it. She can't go to a drama school because that anxiety of not knowing and that self-acceptance is too high for her just to go along. So we've said we've got a few 10-minute sessions. So I'm taking the drama teacher out for coffee and we're just having in a place Annie's familiar with. Then we're going to build it up. So she'll have 10 minutes talking with Annie, and then hopefully our end goal of that succession of that tutoring, if you want to call it, but a different way of looking at it, will be Annie joins that drama club.
She'll remember all of it as well. She'll remember
for the right reasons, though.
Correct. Because there's no pressure and there's no expectance. There's no, this is the end goal that you need to achieve. There's something, you don't need to listen to all of it, but I'll try and dig the clip out for it and I'll share it with you. I did a podcast with a guy, I don't know, middle of last year, a guy from Australia. He wrote a book called Neurospicy. And
Interesting title.
He told me a story about, there was a guy, a teacher, who was teaching children who was struggling. Completely different. So to teach them maths, he would take them out on a surfboard. This is in Australia, and they would paddle out somewhere and paddle back. And then he'd go, "What have you learned today? How many strokes did it take to get from there to there?" So he was teaching them maths subconsciously without them even realizing, because they were doing something they were enjoying. And the whole aspect of being outside of that end goal, which leads me really nicely onto this question. You once said, now I've read this, right? I forget where I read it. I don't know if you put it on LinkedIn or it's something you've written. The system measures compliance, not capability. Can you tell us what led you to that conclusion?
I think the education system is too old. It's really outdated. It's interesting, the skills. They did a skills audit, didn't they? And got released yesterday. And it's those skills that we don't teach in education, but we all say we're preparing children for the future. So what I mean by that is, and I suppose that leads us on to why. So there's two reasons why I left mainstream or your typical education system and has gone independent. One, because I'm a mum and I needed that flexibility to be Annie's voice. So the pressures that I have had to fight Annie's cause, I send or have to reply to several emails a day. I have to be on tap to attend meetings. As well as meeting Annie's needs and supporting her with her barriers. So yesterday, first day, back at school after half term, anxiety through the roof, just couldn't cope with life. Needed a dopamine of a McDonald's breakfast and that chill. And so your morning just goes to pot. So I need that flexibility. I think it's so sad that workplaces don't provide that flexibility for parents. And it's a barrier for parents to work. And share their passion as well, because as you can probably tell, I'm really passionate to educate and I love what I do. But if that flexibility was there, amazing. The compliance side of things is, I was fed up of standing in parents' evenings, assemblies, conferences, and saying to parent stakeholders, preaching from an education system that was made where industries were all sat in rows. Why are we expecting children to sit on plastic chairs 6 hours a day? We wouldn't. We don't. No. Why are we expecting children to learn about, and I always use this one because it's a vivid memory that sticks in my mind with Annie, my own gods in year 5. She's never going to use that at all. No. She does not need it. But I know. If we taught them skills of how to present, how to interact, financial management from that early years, from the early years that the early years already do, the early years environment gets it right. It really does. Don't get me wrong, the development matters and birth to 5 is still fitting children in a box. It's still for your normal children. and we expect children to reach that. What if we just celebrated milestones and realised that people were all individuals? They don't say doctors have to be doctors by the age of, but then our education system says that by the age of 11, they have to have done their SATs in England and be a level 4. It's not, it doesn't marry up.
No, no,
So
no.
that's where I mean compliance. And yes, you have to be brave. I often, my previous office, in my store cupboard, I had a pair of huge pants because sometimes when you're going into meetings, you do need to put your big girl's pants on. And I used to say to staff, right, have a look at those pants in there because you absolutely do. If you're going to be the norm and just follow that robotic system, nothing's going to change.
No, no, no.
There
Do you
was
think that, do you think there's too much pressure on sort of in the education in some schools? I'll be reserved to what I say, but do you think there's too much pressure and focus on data and outcomes?
yes,
Yeah.
um, but and that comes from the top down of Ofsted. They've now brought in attainment and data measures. I
Yeah.
speak to fellow colleagues and professionals that are not getting those top outcomes of Ofsted because their GLD or their attainment levels aren't correct, even though their progress is rocketed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not in line with national or like 2 points, 2 percentage points beyond national rather than 5. But to me, that's where the bravery comes in as a leader. That shouldn't matter. Like, what is
No.
Ofsted for? I love the fact that Ofsted really are pushing that you shouldn't have banners to say we are an outstanding school. I always say to friends, colleagues that are going to see different schools, they'll say to me, how do you know which school is right for your child? And it's a real crucial part because you have your 2-year check as a parent. You give birth, you then have a 2-year check in the NHS to see whether they're developmentally on track. Again, another date limit to when somebody's got to achieve or your child's got to achieve. And then you don't hear of anybody until you're applying for a school. No guidance,
No.
no support at all. Never mind whether you're thinking to yourself, has my child got a bit of barriers here? Are they playing right? Are they interacting right? Never mind that alone. So I always say to people, treat it like a wedding dress. So what might suit you, or what might be fit you, right, or feel right for you on your special day should be like a school. Go and visit it. Go unannounced because there's so many schools that will put on brilliant showcases. I've taught in some that'll be like, right, okay, when we're showing this person around, these are the classrooms that they're going in. Same with Ofsted, particularly if you're in big school, you can gear them to the right people. However, I always say turn up unannounced and treat it as a wedding dress, so you first feel. With the
Very interesting. That's really
um,
interesting.
and what's right, I would never comment on what's right or the best school because I don't believe there is a best school in a town because we've got everybody's different and we would never expect everybody to work in the same workplace under the same conditions. So why are we
That's
expecting children to be fit
I
into
don't
that
know. I
mold?
don't know. I wish I knew. And some of the stuff you just said there, like that I would say a huge core of the people that listen to this podcast are parents, you know.
Mm,
So there's some great advice there. Unfortunately, they don't. A lot of them don't reach out to me. Some do, some don't. Unfortunately, I kind of get the feeling that a lot of them are already horrible way to describe this, but are too far gone. The system's already failed them. We're too far down the line. But I hope that anyone that's just listened to that, who is starting this journey, listens to what Kate said, because I'll ask you this question, and then I'll put my spin on it first. I think if we are not careful, that not now, not 5 years, probably 10 years down the line, we're going to be in a whole world of pain if we don't make some change. I I recently managed to get my hands on a report, and this is bear in mind that we're just talking about dyslexic children here, right? So just dyslexic children. The amount of dyslexic children that failed at school and ending up as young juveniles in the juvenile system. The figures are going like that year on year, and it's so worrying. I worry that a lot of it is based around money and rules and regulations, and I get there has to be, but we learn differently now. We've never all fit into one box anyway. Technology is changing that even more. It's opening and it's making that gap even wider, and I really worry. With your education cap on for 2026 going into 2027, what worries you?
Equality. Um, is real. I wish I'd done a case study, and I sort of have in my head. As an educator, I had two families, both neurodiverse. One parent, one mother, was a solicitor,
Yeah,
and the other was unemployed and just proud to be a mum. Because this mum knew how to write an email, knew how to contact and who to CC in emails, her child got in special school within 6 months. This child here, who I see so many of these children in whatever you classify as, I hate the word mainstream school because I don't think there is a mainstream school out there. I'm yet to find this. What does it mean? But never mind. So that child is still stuck in a system that is trying to make him conform.
yeah.
It was one of the pushes that made me change and step out of the previous role I was in. A director of education said to me, "Oh, Kate, what's been done for Child A? What have you done? Talk to me about what you've done." And I sat back and said, "I'll just rephrase that question." I said, "Are you telling me I've not done enough?" I said, "Because let me tell you, as a head teacher, I know if I put in an EHCP application in the summer holidays, which I did for that child, it's more likely to go through. The timelines will be quicker because there's less pressure on those people that are making those decisions because schools are closed."
Yeah.
I said, "I did that, give up my whole week. I invited the parents in. I said, I sat down. I have weekly meetings with this parent to help her construct emails so she puts them to the right profession." I said, "I've not let them down." I said, "this system is letting them down."
Yeah. It's 20 weeks, right? It's supposed to be 20 weeks. And what is it? 53% took over a year. So, and every single one, 100% that have gone legal have won. So why should somebody have to go legal
Legal.
if it's law in the first place just to get the outcome that they already need? Again,
It's this parent here,
and
so the solicitor mum. She
yeah,
knew, she wasn't scared, she was brave. She said, "We did mediation, it got refused." Then she said, "Right, I'll take you to tribunal." As soon as she put that email in, straight away.
yeah. I've got a lady coming on in a few weeks' time who has made three pre-written email group of emails for parents to help them to send, so they don't even have to type it up. But it just shows you. It just shows you, and it almost, we've got parents becoming, okay, in this case this lady already was in the possession in the profession, but we've got parents now becoming, having to be lawyers to fight for their children just to get what they need to help them in a situation which they shouldn't even be in the first place. Yeah, anyway,
And
okay,
however,
so
going
so
back
go.
to that parent, and a
Yeah,
real sad story here that'll probably hit lots of families, is that parent, yes, she could write a brilliant email, yes, she could be the voice of her child. But when it came to an inclusive world and a close family member died, they travelled down south to go to that funeral. There was nobody around her to look after her son, there was nobody. What world do we live in? It's not just like, what does that say to that child? It's really sad.
These memories stay with you for a long, long time. And I know when we've had messages on LinkedIn, and this is not a lie, this is genuinely the truth. You know, it's taken me 48, 49 years for me to be brave enough just to ask a question. Because I'm so scared of, have I understood what I've been listening to? Have I got the right line? Is this question appropriate? Am I going to look stupid because I think I'm stupid? So when you give someone a label and you stick that sticker on their forehead, it takes a very long time to peel off, believe me. And we are systematically doing that to children continually over and over again. And I think what you're doing with your daughter is brilliant. And I listen, there are loads of different things that you can do. And over these next few weeks, I hope all these stories that, you know, particularly Kate's told you and the podcast before with Danielle, they're giving you different ways and different ideas of things you can do. And they may not be appropriate for your son or daughter, but I think you have to think about we position it that the end goal is there's your GCSEs, pass your GCSEs and you're a success, fail your GCSEs and you're a failure. And unfortunately, that's the mindset that a kid has. And you put them in that box and they're not meant to be in that box. That's it. You're on a hiding tin, I think. Okay, so that's the bad bit, right? That's the bad bit. So the good bit, what excites you about 2020?
I think the people are scared of what we're doing, what me and my business partner are currently doing in education.
Oh, they are. I can definitely tell you they are, and I love it. And that's why whenever I see anything you put on LinkedIn, I give it a huge. If I could make a bigger thumbs up, trust me, it'd be this big. Tell us a bit about it. Tell us what you're doing.
Yeah.
Tell people.
So basically, I've set up a SEND specialist independent school in Stoke-on-Trent. It isn't your typical classroom. So there's floor seating, there's twisty seats, there's standing desks. It mirrors an environment that is needed. Yeah.
No plastic seats.
No plastic chairs. It's got circle tables that 4 people can sit around. And it's like, people ask me why. Oh, it looks lovely, Kate, but why? I said, well, when we go into my office and we sit around a conference table, we sat around the same table. It's teaching them skills of how to interact. It's preparing them for the future of what they're going to be.
Life.
Yeah.
For life.
Not just that entertainment.
Test. Correct. Love it. What else? And tell us a bit about
we're also
tell me. Oh, I want to know.
So all the children will have one-to-one iPad devices, and that's really changed my outlook on education and really excites me. Not with so much noise around screen time and eyesight and mental health, but I think we need to be honest. AI is another one. Let's be honest. If we take all that away, children are still going to find those loopholes. They're still going to do it. They rebel, the children, is what they do. But let's teach them how to use it properly. So we've devised curriculums here. Yes, they will do their maths. Yes, they will do their English. Yes, they'll do the science and they'll do digital skills. They'll do project-based curriculums. So they won't have to achieve a learning objective within an hour. They will have a weeks-long project that will be relatable, and that might be, okay, after a week in PSHE, I'm going to set up a podcast with Jay, and you're going to present and you're going to talk about safeguarding or the dangers of AI to you, as make it relatable and purposeful. They will learn so much more than doing a circle time session talking about safety and online safety and e-safety. So that's the approach in which we've tapped into. The other side of it is we've actually set up little areas around the school and the environment where there's just 2 chairs and a little table, little reflection and breakout areas if you want. Because yes, all our children will have an EHCP. That's not because we want to narrow that. That's purely because of funding and being sustainable and able to run this.
Yeah.
But we absolutely, the other side that really excites me, and particularly in Stoke-on-Trent at the moment, is the My Futures programme that's coming into play. We are lucky enough here in the school that I'm in that we haven't got all that red tape of that schools and academies do have because we're an independent school.
Yeah.
And it's providing a different pathway. So when I was in school, you did your GCSEs, you stayed on in sixth form, you passed your A levels, and then it was just token to the next stage. You went to university and then you got a job. If you didn't do that, then you were thick, or you weren't the bright group, or you weren't in the top sets. That needs to change. Absolutely, it needs to change. And it really excites me that there are a group of CEOs in Stoke-on-Trent that are changing that pathway. Yes, they're providing that academic traditional route, but they are also linking up with careers and businesses and industries. Yes, the NHS, yes, construction, to highlight from the age of 6, 7, if you do art, then it can open up a whole world of opportunities for you.
Totally.
But let's link those careers up. Let's talk about and use those vocabularies.
And
That
that's
really
what's
excites
needed.
me.
If more schools did that and embraced even just that tiny change you're talking about there, at least there's an outcome. Something you said there I love. You mentioned about the iPads, right? And AI. Okay, so let me touch on those two things. Earlier in the conversation, I said to you that I worry that when we give technology to children, that they won't use it because they look different. The fact that you're giving everybody the same device, I love it. Amazing. I think what that enables you to do, Apple Education is fantastic, by the way, and stuff they're doing at the moment is mind blowing, really is. But what that'll do is it will give you, let's be honest, when they leave school, they're going to go into a job and use a PC, right?
Mm.
So you're setting them straight away for that, which is great. You're not separating anybody who may want to use some separate text to speech, speech to text, whatever it may be, bigger captions, whatever it may. It doesn't matter because they're all looking on the same device. No one feels any difference. That's the first thing. AI, AI's changed my life. I wrote a post on LinkedIn yesterday, day before, I forget. Someone put a big post on about these are the changes in jobs and how it's going to affect people and this, that, and the other. So I put a post on this long saying I I I I totally understand where you're coming from. However, have you thought about the neurodivergent community and how this has impacted us? Because finally, I have a voice. Because now I can speak into my phone all these muddled thoughts in my brain and say, hey, can you help me make sense of what I'm feeling here? And it comes back and goes, well, actually, this is a really good conversation piece here. Did you mean that? That's the word I was looking for. So you're dead right. AI is here to stay, like it or not. And what you're going to find by doing that, I feel, is you're going to get a load of kids which move on from your school and potentially are tech engineers, programmers, make their own company because that's what a lot of neurodivergents go on to do, become
Mm.
CEOs, CTOs, you know. So I think that's fantastic. One more question. Do you accept old adults age 54 to rejoin the school to start again?
Honest to God, it brings me back a bit to this red tape that's in.
Yeah,
So we're currently sat in a building that's beautiful and ready. I could have 50 children and families waiting at that door every day.
yeah,
However, it's a 6 month process for the DFE to process this. And I'm like, but it's ready. All the local authorities that are going to use us are absolutely singing our praises. They cannot wait. But you just put in this barrier and communication is so poor. So
wow.
I'm like, oh, it's another frustration. However, going
Yeah,
on to, I think one of the things that as a SEND parent, it touches a bit on that AI. So
yeah,
I used AI with Annie I think is a game changer for her as a mum. She hates writing stories, hates English. However, I said to her, use AI, type in what you want to say. She's very creative. She typed in what she wanted to say. It had no punctuation in it. The spelling was not great. Then I said and then just put at the end, rewrite this into a 4-page chapter book and let me read it to you. And she was like, yeah, that's what was in my brain, ma'am. And I said, you can be an author. Where she's been told so many times that she can't do this, she can't do that.
No.
It's like, you can do it.
She can.
It's enabled that. Those
Yeah,
little things.
my wife loves AI, and I'll tell you why. Because before AI, I used to send a text message. So if I was writing you a text message about the recording of the podcast, there would have been no. I'd have had to say, Jem, how do you spell timing? And she'd go. So I don't. My wife loves it. I've given my wife loads of time back. AI, she loves AI.
Yeah.
But it's true. And I always say to people that I have the most amazing pictures up here, Van Goghs, Rembrandts. As soon as they come out of here, or my fingers are typing it, it either comes across really aggressive or angry, frustrated, because I can't get out what I'm trying to get across to people. But I literally I use speech to text on my phone. I talk into it and I go, listen, this is what I'm thinking. This is what I'm thinking about today emotionally. When I put stuff on posts on LinkedIn and Instagram, they're from here and they're from here, but I can't get it out. So I just blurb it all out, and it makes this beautiful. Did you mean this? Yeah, that's what I meant. That's what I was trying to say. So
And
did
imagine
you
you had
think?
those tools, Jay, in school and everybody had them.
I think my life would have been a lot different.
Mm.
My son. I mean, you've spoken about my son, but he has an incredible eye. It's off the chart, and he is systematically getting failed at school because they give him the ability to use tools in his day-to-day learning, but he's got to the exams, GCSEs, and oh, we can't provide you text to speech in the exam because we don't have the provision to do it. So here's two choices. One, he can fly back to the UK, go to a classroom and have someone sit with him, which was why we took him out of the classroom in the first place, because he just can't function in a classroom. Or option two, we could find somewhere over here that could maybe accommodate him. Well, neither of those are going to work for him. I think AI in education it definitely needs to be controlled. There's no two ways about it. And there are some worries for me around data and this, that, and the other. However, my if that's my worry about data, this is my excitement and capability of what is going to happen. I think it's going to play a massive part, you know, um, and it's going to change the children in your school's lives, because the fact you're embracing it and Apple embrace it, I'm so excited to see. I'd love, I'm a Staffordshire lad, you know that. So I'd love next time we're back, when you're up and running, I'd love to come
Yeah.
and have a wander around and have a look around, because and one question I ask everyone that comes on here, are you okay with parents reaching out to you
Yeah,
after this podcast?
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm. I
because
think
they
going back
do.
to AI, Jay, one of my fellow colleagues, George Barlow, who's an incredible advocate for accessibility, inclusion, and technology, he said to me, Kate, the biggest issue and concern that we've got is that education just puts their blinkers onto AI and they pretend they know it's happening and do nothing about it. And that
Yeah.
to me was like, yes, you're so right. Imagine if we did that to safeguarding, we wouldn't. And
No,
absolutely, we've got to do the same and embrace it like we do with AI. And I just think as parents, we need to do the same.
yeah, it's here to
Don't be
stay.
scared.
No, you can't be. The thing that frustrates me the most about this whole, there's stuff going on at the moment about us pulling money out of the system for the disability student allowance scheme and things like that, and the changes to send and all this. Let's just look at it from another way, right? Imagine if we give those kids the opportunity, we give those kids the technology, and we give them the freedom to express themselves. instead of me saying to you earlier, I really worry about the next 10 years, imagine what those kids would go on to achieve in 10 years' time. The UK would probably have a lot more millionaires, a lot more revenue, more successful businesses, more geniuses, because they wouldn't have to muddle their way through the next 20, 30 years of life trying to find what they are actually good at, because the school would have already identified it. That's what I would like to see happen. I would like to see more of what you're doing at Edgewood. Um, and what's the future? So let's let you can be the magic man now. Wave the magic wand. Edgewood flies. What are your ideas going forward with it?
I'd love, and I'm going to go big, an education
Well,
system and the Department of Education to stop trying to fix and label children and students, but celebrate and enhance their capabilities. That for me
that
is,
is
and I think, but that is so simple in a phase. Like, why have we got to fight for a private assessment, a label, a diagnosis? We know the barriers are there. Why have we got to write 500 emails and attend 500 meetings? Let's
no,
just, it's just delaying it. Like, let's just support these students to be the best we can. Is I suppose going back to those war days, Britain is best and things like Britain is so far
yeah,
behind. All those
yeah.
entrepreneurs that you talk about that are probably neurodiverse, that are British, are moving away.
They are. They live in the
keep
country, and
keep
that's
them
rubbish. Yeah,
here. And there's a
totally.
reason
We would
why.
be world beaters because
Mm.
okay, I would say there is an exception here. Australia are really, really starting to tap into this. They've got some fantastic stuff going on over there. But we would be world beaters. We're a small country. We would have children and young adults coming out of school, college, university with these absolute crazy ideas about creating a business to, I don't know, make tables that could walk or whatever. But it would just, you're dead right. The barriers and the blockers are the problem. And that's what frustrates me. And that's why I keep shouting. And listen, I am your biggest champion and I
Oh, thanks,
support
Jay.
everything you do. And I will keep continuing to like and share everything you do. I wish you guys every success. I've got one more question, and it's a personal one for me, and it's why the podcast is called what it is. But when I say to you the sentence "thick no more," what does that mean to you?
I think we don't use the word thick in education, but have we just replaced it?
Wow.
So have we replaced it with a label and a title that sounds a bit nicer than thick? Because we're still treating these children the same. So I think thick no more is probably, Annie used this word this week. She said to me, I feel invisible.
That's heartbreaking.
So we're still there, still stands thick no more. It is still, people are still treated in that way. And I'm sorry to finish on a sad note, but it's
No.
almost, we're still invisible, I think is probably could be another title to your podcast, because unfortunately problem is still there and we need to stop saying to these children what is wrong with this child rather than how can we fix them. We need to start challenging and being brave into, okay, as an educator and facilitator, what can I provide in order for this to help them succeed?
Yeah.
We shouldn't try to fix them into a system
No.
that is so outdated. Why does it have to be something wrong? I've filled out so many NHS questionnaires and tell me, why does it have to be something that's so wrong?
Yeah.
Why is it always wrong? Why can't it be like, what can they do? But yeah, I think thick no more, I think is probably
Well,
that
yes, thick no
we
more,
are
but it's just
still,
been changed.
yeah.
I think you might be right, unfortunately. I'll give you something to say to Annie. And ironically, it's the same guy. And maybe you should listen to that podcast, or it's the same guy.
Mm.
John O'Shea from Australia. He told me that He doesn't worry. He hates the word superpower because he said you can spend your entire life trying to find what it is.
Mm.
He said the battle is managing the kryptonite. Manage the kryptonite, and you're a game changer. And
Mm.
that's if I could tell any child right now who feels invisible, that would be my message. Don't worry about all the rubbish. Don't worry about all the stuff that people put in front of you. You just concentrate on what you know and what you can do. And that's what's important. Well, listen, I hope in 10 years' time you and I are having a different conversation. I really do. And I'd love to have you back
We
on.
can have those
Uh,
dreams, Jay.
wow. Hey, listen, you never know. You never know. Dreams, eh, Gabrielle? So let's put some time back in when you're up and running, and maybe
Yeah.
we can tell some success stories and we can put a happier note to this. But listen, Kate, honestly, thank you. I know your time is so precious. You're an amazing person, a wonderful mum, an amazing head teacher, and may your school go on to do amazing things. I am fully behind you. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today.
Thank you.